Of the dozens of electric cars coming to Australia in 2021, this has to be one of the most interesting. It's called the Mazda MX-30 and it combines some compact SUV functionality with a bit of old school Mazda fun, courtesy of some pretty funky rear hinged back doors. There's also a subtle nod to Mazda's heritage as a cork manufacturer with some modern cork sprinkled around the cabin. Now earlier I did mention that this is an electric car and that is only partly true. This one here is actually a hybrid. And it's all done because of the price. So this is going to be the price leader. And that gives the car some volume to then allow the electric one to thrive within that market as well. It's all about giving the MX-30 a bigger target to aim at within the market. But of course it's the electric or the EV that we're most interested in, and that's the car I'm driving now. Now, like all electric cars, it's the torque that really defines this one. It's no rocket ship off the line, but it's brisk enough. You push the throttle and off you go. It builds pace really nicely and cleanly. It's also got a really interesting sound. They're sort of pumping this artificial sound into it. So it's sort of like a whirring and part engine noise sort of thing. It's quite different. But like an engine, it builds when you're building speed. When it comes to slowing down, you've got 5 different levels of regen. So I can put it in effectively coasting mode where you lift off and it just sort of pretty much maintains its speed. Or hit the paddle shifters, suddenly we're regenerating pretty strongly actually, so I'm putting more electricity back into the batteries. With the battery, it's relatively compact. You're looking at 35.5 kilowatt hours. But Mazda says that'll do 224 kilometres between charges. That's probably more towards the optimistic end. So either way though, you're looking at more of a city car or perhaps a second car in the family, at which point it will do absolutely fine. Now today it is a bit of a sneak peek at these cars. The ones I'm driving here are pre-production cars, so they're not 100% up to spec, but they're extremely close. And I'm getting to drive both. So previously drove the hybrid. Drives very much like, I guess, a petrol-powered Mazda. Yes, you've got that hybrid system, but it is very mild. The electric, on the other hand, very, very different, and it really does define how this car drives. So one of the things you notice is the lower centre of gravity. Obviously, we've got the battery pack under the floor, so it keeps the weight quite low. So it's actually much better suited around corners. When you sort of tip into a bend, it feels more neutral, less likely to tip around it. And the electric is also surprisingly comfortable. It's actually about 160 kilograms heavier than the hybrid version. And maybe it's that weight or something, but it seems to settle a bit better over bumps and just have that extra degree of comfort to it. Now the $64 million question is, how much is the electric version going to cost? Mazda's not saying for now, except to admit obviously it will be more expensive than the regular hybrids. Best guesses, maybe somewhere around 50 grand, hopefully a bit under that. But either way, it's going to have obviously a price premium. Now, just like the exterior looks a bit different, stands out in the crowd a bit, same with inside. They've done a really nice job, I think, of not only the materials and finishes, which are a step up on what most would expect, I guess, from a mainstream car maker, but the layout and so on is a little bit different to other Mazdas. So it's got a bit of that uniqueness, a bit of that specialness about it. Now the doors are a big part of the MX-30 and to some extent they'll define how people will use it. So they're very much occasional seats in the back. Yes, you can fit in them and they do an alright job, but it works much better as a two-seater. As I said, occasionally popping someone in the back. What I love about the MX-30 is that it's different. It's really different to anything else on the market. Now, clearly that range isn't going to suit everyone, and obviously the price will be crucial to how well it's accepted. But still, it's great to see something fun, funky and fresh on the EV market.